Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening to this. That's the nice thing about podcasts, either video or audio, is hey, you could be listening to this 5 years from now, and maybe it's this one won't be pertinent then, but regardless. I'm Brendan. This is Colonize the Ocean podcast for May 18th. I remember the date there, 2026. And so we're wrapping up the whole entire seasteading, floating structure, floating colonies, floating houses series I've kind of been in here, wrapping that up today with looking towards the future and what's next and what's going on. And there's a couple. There's a couple that I want to address here. You know, we've talked about what's been in the past, what's currently out there, and then there's a couple that are kind of bleeding that ground. There's one called Oceanix in Busan, which is over in South Korea, and it's what's cool about them is it's actually under construction right now, and it's a full scale. The goal is 12,000 residents on a floating colony. They'd be completely self-sufficient with solar and wind. They're going to have desalination, aquaponics, waste recycling, the whole bit. That's their goal, and they've started the construction now. Even the big thing, the concern is hurricanes, but it's rated for Category 5 hurricanes even. So now, will this very first one that they're working on right now be that? We'll see if that's what they're trying to grow that right now or not, but construction has happened. The coolest thing is it's South Korea. So, you know, we've talked about ArkPad over in the Philippines and stuff like that, but this is another one over there in the Asia area. So love to see that. What's nice about this one is, you know, it's a larger scale platform, obviously, than what we've seen with ArkPad, ArkTide, Ocean Builders, and they're trying to be very ecological about the thing. And so we'll see. And it's one to definitely watch and watch out for. Another aspect out there that's been around for a while is Próspera. And if you're not familiar with Próspera, they're something to look into as well. So they're what they do is Próspera is actually down in Roatán, Honduras, and they're set up this interesting economic thing. What it is, it's almost like it's like a libertarian type of thing where they've set up this temporary economic zone in Roatán where the government has given them this the be able to set this test bed to see how doing government slightly different with a more libertarian approach plays out. So it's different tax breaks. Limited taxing is a big thing because obviously libertarian. And so obviously a bunch of costs and stuff can come down. Why this matters is because ArkPad is, which we talked about from over in the Philippines with Mitchell Suchner, that they have got a planned, their second location is going to be right there off the coast of Honduras. And so they're tying in with that to get some of that incentives and tying into that whole entire thing. Plus, the whole Próspera thing is very backed by seasteading because it's of what they're trying to do as far as a change on government and looking at government in a new and different way. So it's very attractive to entrepreneurs or people trying to start their own government or do law, do business, do life a little bit different than what we currently know it as. So we'll see how that plays with ArkPad and hopefully helps them grow substantially there. One thing I like about that is that they're local, are going to be more local than over the Philippines. So with them being down in Honduras, it's going to be a little bit easier for people to get down there and to them. And I think that's going to be exciting for them as well. I think the big thing about all this is that whether it's South Korea, with government and the UN backing them because of what they're trying to do, so they're protected for one thing, plus they're being backed. I think they've got a good possibility of actually showing something here pretty soon. And then with Próspera setting up this blueprint per se for autonomy, not only on land, but in the ocean too. And then the seasteading and ship it in there because they've been working on flagging so that they can have their own flag to be able to be in international waters. So the big thing is, what does that look like for 2026 and 2027? Because that's happening right now. And most of these things, like ArkPad, I think they're planning on sometime here in Q2. It may get pushed back a little bit, but towards the end of 2026. Same thing with what's going on over in South Korea. See where they're at. But 2026 is wrapping up, or 2027 even is wrapping up to be an exciting time in seasteading, in the future of floating habitats. And then as ASC and just Colonize the Ocean in general, we salute that, we applaud that, because these technologies trickle down to what we're trying to do underwater as well. So it's encouraging to see that. I love it. I love following this stuff. I love talking to these different people. We've got connections in all these different areas, so we're able to get information there. If hey, if this kind of stuff is interesting to you, we can try to get some of these people on to do interviews with. I'd like to definitely do some more interviews. It's been a while since we've done any, and talk about the future. Talk about the future on the water, underwater, or as we talked about, even a hybrid. And I'm excited about that. And so with that being said, let's hop over into poll. We do a poll every week. Last week's poll was, what were we talking about last week? Oh yeah, it was about construction and the different construction type of materials that they're using for floating structures. And I said it could be used underwater as well. So the question was, which of these game-changing ocean materials excites you the most for the future of seasteading and floating cities? And our options were sea brick, the 3D printed coral wraps, the high-strength underwater 3D printed marine cement, or the snap-on printable underwater modules, and which one do you like the most? And as always, it's unanimous, just because we don't have as many people take our polls. So before I give you the answer here, hop on over and take a poll. They're free. I'm not trying to get people in here. I don't want you to come thinking that you have to sub and spend money and give us money and stuff like that. That's not what this is about. This is just getting people engaged and getting a community built and get you over on the Patreon for free, or you don't even have to sign up. Just go take the poll. You don't have to create an account. Just take it. Anyway, the answer was the 3D printed coral wraps and reef modules, turning the underwater parts of platforms into thriving, living reefs. And I think that's cool. And I think it's something that even, whether it's floating structures or underwater, bringing a little bit of a coral reef along with you, I think is a good thing. So, like I said, head on over to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Atlanta Sea Colony. Take that poll, take that thing. Go check out all of our links at atlantaseacolony.com or colonizetheocean.com, whichever, they both go to the same place. And we'll catch you back here. Well, I'll catch you back here next week.